Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's Citizens Night and agenda-setting meeting for September 5th, 2023. It's approximately 7 p.m. In a moment, we're going to have a moment of silence, as we always do, and we're going to follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. But unfortunately, I often have to bring up some bad news during these moments of silence. We had an employee, Andy DeAndres, Public Works employee, who died in a tragic accident 2 Thursdays ago, August 24th. Andy worked for the municipality for close to 20 years, and he served in many different roles in public works, and he was a good guy. And he leaves behind a wife and 3 children and a grandchild. And I just want everyone to keep Andy and his family in your thoughts and prayers. There are some fundraising efforts that are happening at the senior center, where Andy was the custodian for over 3 years, and he was also their bus driver up until his passing. We'll talk more about that later in my report, some of the fundraising efforts, and there's a golf outing as well. But for now, we're going to have a moment of silence in Andy's honor. So if we'd all please rise for that moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Griesbach?
Here.
Mr. Hizzy?
Here.
Mr. Poach?
Here.
Mr. Stevenson? Mr. Wolfram? Mr. Adams?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Biondo?
Here.
Mr. Sedlak?
Here.
Ms. Gold?
Here.
Ms. Rock?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
Mr. Story?
Here.
Welcome, everyone. So we're going to start with our Citizens Night remarks and comments. This is a period of time for residents and taxpayers to address council on any municipal item. We always ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes. We're going to open this period up shortly. At our next Tuesday, our regular council meeting next Tuesday on September 12th, there will be 2 other opportunities to address council. The first opportunity will be at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items, and then at the end of that same meeting, there'll be another period for any municipal item. So this period is for Citizens Night, for residents, taxpayers, for any municipal items. So if there's anybody that would like to address council, now would be your time to do so. Welcome, and did you sign in by chance?
I did.
Great. If you just slide over to the mic so the microphone picks you up, and then if you could just state your name for the record and that you are a Monroeville resident.
Hello, my name is Ariel Searcy. I am a Monroeville resident.
Welcome. So the floor is yours.
Much obliged. I've actually been the general manager at the Adult Mart around the corner on Stroshine Road for approximately 5 years now, and the reason I am here today is I actually wanted to address some safety concerns coming down Stroshine Road at the intersection of the exit from Miracle Mile onto Stroshine Road. In the time I've been general manager at the Adult Mart, I've probably seen well over 100 car wrecks from people pulling out of that particular intersection from Miracle Mile. I know that the speed limit in this particular area is 25 miles per hour. Most of the accidents are happening from people trying to make a left turn out of the shopping center and occasionally also trying to make left turns out of the PNC mortgage lot. In these particular instances, they range anywhere from minor fender benders to sometimes even grievous injuries. The reason I am here now is not only because I've tried to address my concerns to authorities at the scene and other sources and haven't really been met with any resolution, but also because they're becoming worse in severity and more frequent. Actually, this past December, we had 5 major wrecks in the course of a singular week. And this past Saturday, there was actually a wreck that was so bad. A gentleman was thrown from his motorcycle. He hit the sidewalk in front of my store, compound brain fracture, bones sticking where they shouldn't have been. And that's one of those things that sticks with you for a really long time. And the apathy of other bystanders aside, not coming to assist, it was really bad. I don't even know if he's alive, but it's gone on for so long and continues to increase in severity that it's becoming not only a major safety concern for everyone traveling this particular roadway, but also anyone who shops in the Miracle Mile Shopping Center, and then anybody else who may travel across this particular road. I know that a majority of people don't follow the posted speed limit sign there. They come blazing down the hill, so a lot of these left turners believe they have time to make the left turn safely, and they don't, which causes a lot of the wrecks. But I also feel like proper resolution could also be installing speed bumps along the road, could be a stop sign banning left turns out of the shopping center or the PNC mortgage, or even though this may not be the best resolution, perhaps a stoplight that could work well in tandem with the light where it intersects on 22. Because this exit is also in close proximity with the light where Strohschein intersects with 22, and it is a very busy major roadway. So I also understand that stoplights may not be the best option, but hopefully we could come up with a better solution to not only save a lot of municipality resources with EMS and authorities being called out there 3-4 times a week for major car wrecks, but also to make it safer for everyone traveling and shopping in the area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'll leave the floor open for anyone else that would like to address council.
Okay, I am Mrs. Stanley. I'm a resident of Monroeville. I actually live at 221 Monroe Street, which is visible from the front of this building. We have a dangerous situation on the street, and I've contacted in the last 3 months 2 borough officials, and nothing has been done. Monroe is a narrow L-shaped street, and at that bend at the L, the property there is 205 Monroe. Both sides of that street have hedges so tall, some as tall as I am. So it is impossible to see if there is an oncoming vehicle. In the last 2 months, I have come close twice to 2 head-on collisions, as has my next-door neighbor. So we started utilizing Madison Street. It's also a narrow L-shaped street, but it intersects with Monroe. And since I'm the last house on Monroe, I started using that. Well, that didn't help, because 215 Monroe Street has huge hedges as well, and you can't see if anybody is coming down Madison. In July, after a storm, there was a large tree that became uprooted on the back of the 205 property. It's laying on the property, not on the street, but the branches at the top of the tree are adding to not having visibility on Monroe Street. Now, both of these properties are rentals, and I understand one man and his wife own both properties. So I'm hoping that there is an authority in the borough or an individual that would have authority to contact this homeowner, or somebody go look at it and see how dangerous this is. Because it's my understanding there is a daycare center going in right across the street from these 2 properties. So that's going to be additional traffic and children in those cars. So I'm hoping it can be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll leave the floor open for anyone else who would like to address council on any municipal item. Seeing none, we're going to close that comment period. And these 2 items, thank you, we were very well aware of the situation there. Strohschein's a county road, and then the Miracle Mile parking lot is a private entity, and I don't know what can be done or what can we
You
look
can pass
into.
along the comments to the county.
We'll let the county know, and maybe there's some things perhaps they could do there. And then as far as the Monroe Avenue, we'll send code enforcement out to look at those situations. There has to be like line of sight and visibility, so if there's an issue there, yeah, code enforcement we're writing it down right now, and we'll have them look at it, and if there's a problem, it'll be taken care of.
The gentleman from Strohschein's Still alive, but I believe in the hospital.
Thank you for looking that up. Okay, council. Moving down the agenda, I have two executive session announcements. That council conducted an executive session on Wednesday, August 30th, from 6:30 PM to 8 PM before Citizens Night tonight, September 5th, from 6:15 to approximately 7 PM for personnel and litigation reasons. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the Tuesday, September 12th council meeting, next week. Council, looking at the minutes that we will be considering for next Tuesday, the Citizens Night meeting of August 1st, 2023, the council agenda-setting meeting of August 1st, 2023, and the regular council meeting of August 8th, 2023. Any questions or comments, council?
No, sir.
Hearing none. Reports of the tax collections. Any questions or comments, council?
All copacetic.
Hearing none.
Ooh,
Mr. Poach, you good?
oh, thank you, Pat.
All right.
Okay.
List of bills and budget transfers. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, very good. Moving over to our payroll report. Any questions or comments, council? And this is not a voting meeting this evening, but we will be considering these items next Tuesday, September 12th. We will also consider the vacancies on boards and commissions and authorities at that time. Moving to our bids and proposals, we have two this evening. Mr. Sedlak.
Yes, we have two bids for our Monroeville DPW stream restoration and the Monroeville Heritage Park stream restoration. Jamie, do you want to give a description, or Paul, and before we move forward so council will know what this is all about?
This is Jamie's project. He's
Hey,
gonna-
Jamie's here. Let's put him to work.
There's quite an explanation, because it goes back to our whole MS4 permit, so Jamie's gonna take over here.
Jamie, the floor is yours.
So one of our requirements of our MS4 permit was to reduce sediment pollution, and over several permutations of trying to figure out exactly how DEP wanted us to calculate that and address that. Ultimately, we came down with three stream restoration projects. One's located at the Public Works facility. One is at Heritage Park, but it's actually located in a stream along McGinley Road, towards the end of McGinley Road. And one of them is at Beechwood Park, starting kind of in the vicinity of Northwestern Drive and heading downstream from there. So these are the first two of those projects. They had the simplest permitting path, so they're the first two to come through. So we bid both of these. That'll knock out, I think between the two of these, roughly half of our sediment reduction goal. And
Nice.
Beechwood will be the other half of it. That one's probably, I'm going to say, 6 months behind these two on bidding. But these projects would conceivably be pretty well complete by the end of the year. And they'll consist of basically mimicking sort of natural stream processes to take an urban stream that's been disrupted by too much flow, accelerated erosion due to the impervious area that we have, and mimicking some natural features to put them back where they were. And those include revegetating with live cuttings of like dormant branches that in the spring will kind of come back to life and reroot. Embedding like root balls from existing trees into the banks to reduce erosion of the stream banks, installing log veins and some rock structures in the stream that will redirect the erosive force of the water from the banks towards the middle of the creek, so it'll reduce erosion that way, and they'll also create fish and wildlife habitat. So that's the short answer. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to oblige.
So whenever we talk about these and pick one, either or, how far of a stretch are we talking about?
I had a feeling you were going to ask that question, and that's like the one I didn't come up with an answer for. I'm going to say Public Works is probably about 500 feet, and McGinley's probably closer to 1,000 feet, and then Beechwood is probably like 2,000 feet.
But do you basically just kind of say, hey, this is the section we're doing? Like, how is that decided, where you do it at on the stream?
Ultimately, the easiest path for this was to first look at property that we already owned. So in this
Okay.
case, it's all park property, or Public Works is obviously municipally owned property. So we started with those areas, looked for streams that were kind of readily accessible. You know, something that's 6 miles down into the woods isn't easy to get to for a contractor, so we tried to pick something that was accessible and something that A, had demonstrated that it had some issues with degradation, and B, hopefully something that the public could see. So Part of our MS4 goal is public education and outreach, so we prefer to have something where the residents can see, hey, look, the stream looked like a disaster before, and now it looks vegetated, and it looks healthy, and it looks like something we want to have in our neighborhood. So those are kind of the reasons why we ended up where we are.
You're already on to the Beechwood project.
Beechwood, like I said, will probably lag about 6 months behind these. We're in
Okay,
a
so
longer
just as
permitting
an
process.
FYI, knowing how difficult that is from Northwestern to do, is it where do we have to let the residents know anything about, like, they're going to be making an entry to the area from?
We're going to be going through municipal property, so,
Right.
I mean, I don't foresee any
Like
disruption.
along Northwestern in
Public.
one case too?
Right, Northwestern, down in the dip
Yep.
there. If you go down
Right.
on, coming off of, what would that be?
Either
Old
or,
Concord
either Holy
Harvest.
Cross or,
Harvest.
yeah, there's a-
Yeah,
the
go down
Holy
there on the
Cross.
right side where
Yeah.
there's that access to
Yeah.
Beechwood Park, so.
Yeah, too. That's great. I mean, just letting the folks know that we're doing it down through there. Not that it's anything, just a couple on the streets might be.
Does it all be done in the park itself?
Oh, I
It wouldn't
understand.
be-
Yeah, the park entrance comes out onto Northwestern. It's just that they'll be, they'll be not used to seeing the stuff in there, in the
I'm
neighborhood.
sure the neighborhood inspectors will be
Letting them know.
quick to let us know.
It's terrific.
Yes.
That's all. And then McGinley,
They'll let us know, too.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
Dr. Williams will be on it, I'm sure.
Yeah, we can let-
Well, on Monroe
Get your hip waders out, Bob.
Yeah, and then McGinley, is that going to help with that flooding discussion we had 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
I would say no, it's more of a restoration project than a.
Because it's past the residences, if it's on the municipal park, not that little stream that's on the front, beside McGinley.
It'll be upstream of, what's there, 4 residences at the end?
Yeah, there's 4 residences,
Just
right.
upstream of
Oh,
this.
upstream from that, oh, okay,
Yeah.
so it might actually help them.
In theory, it should. I mean, I'm not sure to
Sure.
what extent, but. to some
Glad to see
degree.
you doing this.
Well, you'll access everything from McGinley Road.
Yeah, McGinley, the intention is to
Yeah.
go, there's like a little pull-off down there.
Yes.
We'll clean up that pull-off and access will be made from there. Public Works will just stage out of the Public Works facility, so.
It's terrific.
And that's all being completed by Public Works?
No, these are outside contractors. You have 2 different contractors for these. Our intention is, this is something we don't have experience with. We're gonna make these, first off, we have a timeline to get these done, so it's kind of crunch time for us. But we're gonna watch these projects and see if we can do this with in-house forces in the future, if that's a possibility.
It's great.
So if you remember, we had our MS4 permit 5 years ago, and
Yeah.
it's coming to mature. This is part of that program, and we've already made application for our next 5-year cycle.
When do these have to be done, and then how long are these gonna take each individually?
They technically needed to be done by September of this year. But I think DEP realized early on that their timeline, they gave all the municipalities 5 years to kind of figure out how this was all going to work, including DEP was figuring it out simultaneously with like a back and forth between the two, to try to get the government to move quickly enough to identify projects, figure out with the regulatory agency how they want to accomplish that, go back through permitting, bidding, construction. That 5 years was kind of
Ambitious, yeah.
a tight timeline. So we are approved, these projects are approved by DEP. We're not in any trouble with DEP. They're copacetic with what we're doing. As far as timeline to complete them, you'll award these hopefully next week, and we expect to be pretty well done with construction by the end of the year. So that's with these two. Again,
Yeah.
Beechwood will lag behind a little bit.
With this whole program, Jamie and I met with the DEP, and we kind of left that office with more questions than we went into the office with, so it's a learning curve.
Okay.
Okay, great. Any other questions, council?
That retention pond that's on McGinley, that's owned by the senior care home?
There is one on McGillian.
Right just
Behind
upstream
Woodhaven.
from
Behind Woodhaven.
where this will take place, I believe.
Right.
Does it need dredged or anything, or?
I don't believe so.
No? So-
And does the Forbes Hospital system, do they drain into that
Ultimately, yes.
ultimately? Okay. All right. Any other questions, council? Very good. We will consider that next Tuesday. Moving over to our consent agenda, we have old business that was tabled. Mr. Sedlak, please.
Okay, we have 23-5-C, Route 22 MTWP LLC. Applicant is requesting conditional use approval to install a billboard pursuant to Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended, section 307.14 billboards. The Property is located along William Penn Highway, tax parcel 743J297 in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District. It's a public hearing item. The Planning Commission recommends denial of this application, and the applicant has requested tabling of this application until Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023, the council agenda setting meeting, and waives all time limits.
Council, any questions? Moving over to our resolutions, then, we have one to consider. Mr. Sedlak.
A resolution under Act 205 of 1984, known as the Municipal Pension Plan Funding Standard Recovery Act, authorizing the 2024 minimum municipal obligation, MMO, for the police and non-uniform pension plans. These are the amounts that we would have to budget for 2024 for both pensions.
Okay. Council, any questions? Very good. Moving over to our ordinances, we have one to consider for next Tuesday. Mrs. Gold, please.
An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, establishing an administrative procedure and guidelines for the issuance of permits and establishment of temporary on-street disability parking zones.
Very good. Any questions or comments, council? I know this is something we've been working on, trying to clean up the language and try to set better guidelines for these situations. Okay, very good. Move over to reports of our municipal staff. Mrs. Gold, you have the floor. Any comments or for the report this month?
Not at this time, no.
Thank you. Mr. Sedlak.
A few items. First, the zoning ordinance public hearing will be Tuesday, October 3rd at 7 PM. I know that's been an issue a lot of residents have talked about, so we are going forward at that time.
And then, so the public hearing would be then, and then when would we be looking to approve? When could we possibly approve it? Would it be?
Could be the following month.
Could it be the following week?
It could be, but you could probably give them a month.
But I think legally it's probably possible, we could.
Do we run into a problem if we need more than one hearing date in terms of time frame?
See how many, what kind of feedback we get. Maybe residents will show up, maybe somebody will have something that wants changed, or might be a last-minute revision.
Okay, so the possibility's out there, but there's nothing, that we can always delay it. That's
Right.
always a possibility, and there will certainly be, there's also opportunities to ask questions about that at tonight's meeting, at next Tuesday's meeting, at the public hearing meeting, any subsequent meeting from that as well. So plenty of opportunities for the residents to
Yeah, the
address council.
updated draft of the ordinance and the updated draft of the map have been posted on the website. They've been up for over a week now, so.
Okay.
Haven't received any correspondence from anyone, so hopefully that means it's good to go.
Okay, but anyone that's interested, yeah, you can check out the website and look at the updates.
And so by next week, then we'll meet the requirement for public notification for that hearing.
I think we posted it or I think we agreed to post it last month, and it is on the website.
Right, no, we agreed to talk about, yeah, to make sure that there's 30 days prior to that, too. So, is there, don't open this worm area, I'm going to do it. Okay. Is there any advantage to us having another alternate date to meet within the advertising requirement, additional date, of which we can always cancel unless required? Or once we commit to the date, does that mean we absolutely have to have a second?
I think it's probably best that we stick with this, that we advertise to avoid confusion. We see how this goes. Council at that same meeting can decide if we want to add another one. I think that's
Perfect.
maybe the better way to do it.
Well, just for logistics' sake, November 7th is the first Tuesday, which is also Election Day, so that's going to have to move anyway. So we probably will have time if after the October 3rd,
Sure.
we think we need another.
We were queried about that in the past, too. Guys, is there enough days? And, I want to just prove that we are, in fact, flexible about it. We're upfront about the hearings. We have plenty of time for questions. There shouldn't be a problem. It's posted. Thank you guys for getting it out there already. So, yeah, that's great. Then we're in good shape.
Okay. And then, Dennis, you brought up a good point, so that November meeting, we should probably.
Move it to Thursday.
Talk
next
about moving
Tuesday-
it, yeah.
Yeah, for next Tuesday, let's get that on the agenda,
To move it to the
to
third.
move it to the
Thursday.
Thursday,
Wednesday,
to the 9th.
The 9th, is it? I'm sorry, Sharon.
you could have it Wednesday or
The 8th.
Thursday of that
8th or
week.
9th, yeah.
Thursday, Wednesday, any?
Council, what do you think?
I don't have a
Habits.
preference.
Yeah, our habit's been Citizens Night, was previously Thursday to Tuesday.
Yeah, why don't we keep the Thursday?
Thursday,
Yeah.
yeah, Thursday the 9th.
You sharing any other
7
meetings?
p.m.
The zoning hearing board's the first Wednesday.
Which was the
and
first.
council
Which
meeting's
was the
the
first.
second Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you could have it the Wednesday or Thursday of that week, and then planning commission's third Wednesday.
So if we were on Thursday, we're missing everybody else's meeting then.
Thursday.
Or Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll get
Yep.
that on the agenda for Tuesday.
Yeah.
Get that cleaned up. Mr. Sedlak?
Okay, the Heritage Day Festival is September 30th from 1 to 5 p.m. at the McGinley Road Historical Houses, pony rides, crafts, farm animals, all kinds of good stuff.
Food.
So it's
Great.
always a good event.
Yes, it is.
Household hazardous waste and electronic collection event, October 14th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Public Works. You can register at nobleenviro.com. And my condolences to the Andrews family and to Mr. Little. Get well soon. Hurry back. Sooner the better.
What are you saying, Joe? Are you
He's
invested in
bleeding
that?
up.
Are you
Bleeding up.
invested in that? What?
Very good, thanks, Mr. Sedlak. Mr. Hugus?
No, sir.
Very good. Ms. Rock?
Nothing tonight.
Excellent. And we'll move over to reports of our council members. Start with Mr. Biondo this evening.
Yeah, just condolences to the DeAndrews family, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I just mentioned the unexpected death on the job of Andy DeAndrews, and prayers go out to his family, condolences to them. Thank you.
I also send my condolences to the DeAndrews family.
Thank you. Mr. Poach?
Yeah, also, again, to join that with the Anderson, they live over near me and stuff too, is certainly a surprise, and New Hampshire Fire Department as well, too. Also, get well to Steve. I think he'll be back, and me looking to have him join us by next week. Hopefully, that'll be terrific. That's an indication of fingers crossed to do that. And Tim, hurry back. Joe wants you back home pretty soon to do that as well. And welcome Miss Gold for coming in this evening, too. It's always good to see Monroeville Reginald growing back up and being with the team, too. So it's a long time. Thanks.
Thank you.
It's terrible when you know the solicitor when they were younger, too, so that's great. Welcome.
Great. Mr. Hizzy?
Condolences to the Andy's family and that, and also I want to say congratulations to the library. They had a great fun fest this year. It was
Thank you, Joe.
very beautiful. We went up there and spent the day, and they did one hell of a job, and I hope it gets bigger. Please, enjoy yourself.
It's huge.
Enjoy our amenities in Monroeville. With that, I have nothing else.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Hizzy. And I guess we're a day late on a very special day. Mr. Hizzy's birthday was yesterday.
There's no cake here, so.
Did you need to have?
He was upset that I didn't call him yesterday, but I think he's old enough where he probably forgot that I called him. I could probably just tell him. Joe, I called you yesterday, but I hope you had a nice birthday. And then a get well to Mr. Wolferman, Mr. Little. I'm going to echo what my colleagues here said this evening. Welcome, Ms. Gould. Thank you for filling in tonight. We appreciate it. And kudos to the library for the Fun Fest and the Monroeville Foundation and for the Jazz Festival. We had a really great turnout this
that's
past
great.
weekend for the Jazz Festival. So big thanks to everyone that helped put that on. That's Parks and Rec Department, that's the Public Works Department. I know TV 15 had a large presence there. They streamed it during the event. And all the volunteers of the Monroeville Foundation. It was really, really nice event and perfect weather. I got to talk to Chuck Somerville, who started the Jazz Festival 20 years ago. It was the 20th anniversary, and they've never been rained out, so we're keeping the streak alive. And then I will finish up, as my colleague said here, condolences to the DeAndrews family. Like I mentioned earlier, there are some fundraising efforts that are going to be happening. The Monroeville Senior Center, where he was the custodian for years, they are raising money there, so anyone that would like to donate to the family, stop by the Senior Center during their regular business hours, and they're accepting donations. There's also a golf outing that's scheduled for October
I believe it's the 16th.
October 16th, but that information is also available at the Senior Center as well, and they're looking for whole sponsors, foursomes. I know that there's Public Works members are putting this on, and it should be a good event and for a good cause, so, but still, once again, please keep the family in your thoughts and prayers. And with that, I want to seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.